Some of you are probably looking at this picture right now and saying, Torian, who is this that you're about to talk about? And that's completely understandable because I wouldn't expect you to know who this is, but you will probably be definitely really familiar with who he killed or who he took out, because it's a story that pretty much made it widespread around the time when it happened. But this man's name is Aarial Maynor, and he is the guy that was responsible for the death of Clarence Avant's wife, Jacqueline Avant. You know, they are a very well-to-do family. Like, Clarence Avant is this guy has a major, and I do mean a major, influence on the industry. I'll just leave it at that. If y'all know his story, you know what I mean. But back last year, he broke into the Avant's home. It's still a mystery to me of how he even got in there. He broke into the home, I think probably in an attempt to maybe rob it. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if it was a hit or for whatever the case may be, because the details are kind of fuzzy. And he broke into the home and then he killed Jacqueline Avant. He killed her. Well, now fast forward to today, on the day that I'm recording this video, April 19, 2022, he has been sentenced to a whopping 150 years in prison. So I'm going to go ahead now and read the article. A Los Angeles County Superior Court judge on Tuesday sentenced the man convicted in the murder of Jacqueline Avant to more than 150 years to life in prison, saying he shot a highly vulnerable 81-year-old woman in the back and then giggled about it afterwards. So that basically showed he had no remorse. Judge Catherine Solorzano, said that after fatally shooting Avant, a well-known philanthropist, Aarial Maynor, fired multiple times at an unarmed security guard as he fled the Beverly Hills home. The judge said the 29-year-old career criminal planned the burglary, looking up the home ownership records of Avant's husband, music industry legend Clarence Avant. He shot her in the back, indicating she was not a threat to him. She sentenced Maynor to 150 years to life for murder with 3 strikes enhancements plus a consecutive 40 years for his other crimes. Before the sentence was handed down, Deputy District Attorney Victor Avila played a recording of Maynor in the Los Angeles County Jail in which he called a female friend and laughed about the December 1st killing and the publicity surrounding it. "That's not funny, that's somebody's life," the unidentified woman replied. In the recording, Maynor boasted that he was all over the news and wondered, "You think my mama's seen that though?" This guy is sick. Like, this guy broke into this home with the attempt to rob it, killed this woman who was 81. Imagine living a full life and a very successful life with a very successful husband, and this is how you die. And this guy is like, he finds this to be so hilarious. He has no remorse. Well, in my opinion, he's going exactly where he's going, because I'm sure they're not going to have any remorse for him there. He told the woman in the jailhouse call he expected to get $50,000 from a burglary there that night. Maynor had pled guilty to Avant's premeditated murder, as well as the attempted murder of the security guard, possession of a firearm by a felon, and 2 counts of burglary. Avant's daughter, Nicole, said in a letter to the judge that was read by a prosecutor before sentencing that the only word to describe the state of our family is shattered. We are asking the defendant spend the rest of his life in prison. Jacqueline Avant served as president of the neighborhood of Watts, a support group for child care in South Los Angeles. Her husband advised or produced a slew of hit-making musicians, including Jimmy Smith, Bill Withers, Babyface, and Lalo Schifrin. Known as the Black Godfather, Clarence Avant received the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2016 and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year. The slaying triggered a public outcry over a new wave of violent crimes in Los Angeles County. Prosecutors had sought 150 years to life for Maynor with the 3 strikes enhancement plus a consecutive 43-year term for his other crimes. Maynor's lawyer, Deputy Public Defender Marcus Huntley, tried to persuade the judge to remove his prior strikes, but District Attorney George Gassons prosecutors sought to ensure Maynor would not qualify for early release because he has 2 previous convictions. Though prosecutors did not seek life without parole in his case, Gasson said that this is a de facto sentence that will result in Maynor spending the rest of his life in prison. In asking the judge to consider his background, Huntley acknowledged that Maynor will never leave prison, but the judge said his prior crimes were violent. I don't have any record he has done anything positive in prison, she said. Wearing a white jail shirt and seated in a wheelchair, Maynor showed no reaction as the recording of him laughing was played for the court or when he was sentenced. Security video from a neighboring home captured Maynor in dark clothing approaching the Avant's home with an AR-15 style rifle. He told detectives that once inside the home, he was startled by Jacqueline Avant, who yelled at him. A few minutes later, the camera caught him fleeing and turning around to fire 5 shots in the direction of the guard, then frantically fumbling to get into his Lexus. He dropped the red glove that would tie him to the crime. He shot Jacqueline Avant in the back with a large caliber weapon and attempted to kill a security guard, Avila wrote in a sentencing memorandum. If that was not enough, within an hour, he decided to break into another home with the same firearm. When the burglary at the Avant house failed, Maynor went to a home in the Hollywood Hills and attempted another one. A short time later, he was captured by Los Angeles police in the backyard of that home, where he had shot himself in the foot with the rifle he used to kill Avant an hour earlier. It remains unclear why Maynor targeted the Avant's home or if he knew whose residence he'd broken into. Maynor was paroled from state prison 3 months before shooting Avant. According to the sentencing memorandum, he had 2 prior convictions for robbery and causing great bodily injury. His most recent robbery was committed 3 years before he killed Avant. According to a probation report, Maynor was 21 and homeless at the time of his first robbery conviction, in which he shoved a woman to the ground and kicked her in the face in Hollywood. Los Angeles police arrested Maynor for a robbery a second time in 2018. While in jail, he reported suffering from bipolar disorder, among other conditions, and said he had been taking medication to treat schizophrenia. It was a horrific, tragic crime, the impact of which continues to traumatize her family and the greater community, Gasson said in an interview Monday of Avant's killing. I want to hold him accountable, but at the same time avoid a painful trial for the family. Mr. Maynor has been in the system since he was 12. It speaks to the failure of a criminal justice system he rated as the highest of most violent offenders in the prison system. That's crazy. They said since he was 12, and he ranked pretty damn high for what he was in there for. That's crazy. But at the same time, I can't bring myself to feel anything for him. They said he laughed and thought this was funny. So this sounded like to me like this was a robbery gone wrong. Like he probably had no intentions of harming anyone that day. It was going to be one of those in and out type of things. He saw Jacqueline Avant and he shot her out of fear and then tried to kill the security guard. And because of who he killed, that also is another reason why his sentence was so huge. Like I said, Clarence Avant has a lot of connections. That guy is, and his wife was very connected. Has a lot of respect, more so him than anything. Nothing against her, but he definitely has, like I said, had a lot of influence. So when I had found that out, and I was like, Clarence Avant, I said, that name sounds so familiar. And I saw his picture. I was like, oh, wow, that's him. And, that was his wife. But that's, it is what it is. And now he's going to have to spend the rest of his days behind bars thinking about what he did. But the thing is, based on his behavior, it sounds to me like he could care less. That's to me. That's what I gather from this guy right here. Someone who, like they said, has been in the system since he was 2000, since he was 12. And that's pretty much all he knew, from the time he was a child up until now. And now he's stuck there. Now he's permanently attached to this system. But it is what it is. But again, I offer my condolences to Clarence Avant, to his wife's family, her friends, and her associates, and anyone else that knew her. and all of that good stuff.